Welcome to the Fountains Studio Celebration. There's so many ways we connect with one another these days. Text, email, voicemail, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger. But sometimes we don't hear about things happening in your life. And we always want permission to share any joys and concerns. So if you let us know what's happening with you and your loved ones, it will help us offer one another the kind of support that the Fountains is known for. It's easy. Just send us a prayer request by leaving a voicemail message at the office or by emailing it to welcome@weputlovefirst.org. You can also go to the link below, tinyurl.com/fountainsconnection, and fill in the online form you'll find there. If you're not already receiving our weekly Joys and Concerns email and eStreams newsletter, you can sign up on our homepage or let the office know by email or phone. Thanks for staying connected, and thanks for being a part of the Fountains virtual community. From wherever and whenever you're joining us, we're glad you're here.
Please join me as we get in the spirit. We gather here to celebrate life's beauty,
and find healing for its pain,
to honor our kinship with each other,
and with the earth,
to be inspired to create a more compassionate world.
beginning with ourselves.
So let us celebrate the richness and diversity of life.
For we are chosen to share the good news of the kingdom.
In the midst of every blessing, may my heart be filled with grace. Streams of goodness ever flowing, call for songs of highest praise. May my words be filled with gratitude. May my glad heart humble be as a holder of a blessing. May I share it gratefully. In the midst of every trial, may my heart be filled with grace. Streams of comfort ever flowing, call for songs of highest praise. May I find the strength within me. May I sense it everywhere as I face what must be handled. May I find truth I can share. In the midst of all our living, may our hearts be filled with grace. Streams of goodness ever flowing, call for songs of highest praise. May we seek and find encouragement. May our choices worthy be as we journey on together. May we know integrity.
Let's affirm the Fountain's mission together.
As followers of Jesus,
We put love first.
As we enter into this time of quiet and meditation, I trust that you might sense the presentness of the Spirit at work in your heart and mind, and that in taking this moment to center ourselves, we might make space for the Spirit to be at work, stirring us to examine with humility the deepest parts of who we are, our motivations, our fears, and our dreams. When the world is full of uncertainty and turmoil, we especially need to be intentional about being quiet and open to that still small voice, reassuring us, yes, but also nudging us and working on us too. So I invite you to join me wherever and whenever you're experiencing this moment, to take a deep breath with me and set her down. Set aside the chatter in your mind, all the distractions of the day, and simply be still. Breathe deep. Settle in to the here and now. May we sense the Spirit's presence.
Open our hearts, open our minds, open our lives to you, oh loving God. Open our hearts, open our minds, open our lives to you, oh loving God. Open our hearts.
Lord, give us courage to confront ourselves honestly, to shuck the pretense and strip to the real, to act justly with those close to us, and advocate justice for those distant from us, to work to heal what is injured in our lives, and to celebrate the wondrous rest.
O God, lead us in the narrow way of trust and accompany us into the awe or ache so deep that we are forced to sort out what matters.
Transform us by your grace, that we will be confident of your blessing upon our lives and stirred to bless others.
This is our prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, now and forever. Amen.
Arizona is experiencing a heartbreaking and dramatic increase in homelessness, and those experiencing the largest increase are single men who often find themselves with nowhere to go and very few resources to get back on their feet. Most of these men have recently experienced some sort of trauma, whether it be the loss of a job, the death of a spouse, or even a serious medical crisis. A New Leaf believes these men deserve the help they need to overcome these temporary but devastating challenges. A New Leaf's East Valley Men's Center is a safe haven for men facing homelessness. When men arrive at the facility, they are provided with a bed and storage area for their personal possessions that they are able to keep for the entire duration of their stay. The East Valley Men's Center is unique in this aspect, offering a consistent living space while ensuring the stability and comfort that comes from having a personal space to call their own. Once the men have settled, dedicated staff gets to work, helping residents plan a permanent housing plan, their guide towards stability. An on-site workforce office also helps the residents build a resume, find references, and secure job interviews. A New Leaf strongly believes in making the East Valley Men's Center a working man's facility, offering a hand up to men willing to put in the effort to improve their lives. The men are also provided with hygiene kits, a large bathroom facility, and 3 meals a day. The East Valley Men's Center operates a robust community meal program through which churches, corporations, and other community groups serve regular meals entirely free of charge. Once a resident is prepared to move into independent housing, staff assists with the transition, helping them to achieve long-term housing stability. Through stable living, comprehensive services, and compassionate attention to the challenges each man faces, A New Leaf helps men experiencing homelessness find their feet and lead fulfilling, self-sufficient lives once again.
Every day, the Fountain strives to put love first, both in person and online.
And if you're one of our many regular online viewers, we are grateful for your participation as a digital member.
Every week, you hear about all the many ways you can give electronically to support this online outreach, like using the QR code on the screen, going to give.weputlovefirst.org, or downloading the Vanco mobile app. Then, when you're on our secure giving site, be sure to look for the line that says Studio Celebration Donation.
A contribution here lets us know you're out there, that the studio is important to you, and that you want to be part of supporting this growing digital outreach.
So wherever and whenever you're watching, we're glad you're joining us.
Thanks in advance for supporting the studio financially.
For all those times you stood by me, for all the truth that you made me see, for all the joy you brought to my life, for all the wrong that you made right, for every dream you made come true, for all the love I found in you, I'll be forever thankful. You're the one who held me up, never let me fall. You're the one who saw me through it all. You were my strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak. You were my eyes when I couldn't see. You saw the best there was in me, lifted me up when I couldn't reach. You gave me faith 'cause you believed I'm everything I am because you loved me. You gave me wings and made me fly. You touched my hand, I could touch the sky. I lost my faith, you gave it back to me. You said no star was out of reach. You stood by me and I stood tall. I had your love, I had it all. I'm grateful for each day you gave me. Maybe I don't know that much, but I know this much is true. I was blessed because
How exactly did we get a passage in Genesis for our reading when the topic is the Lord's Prayer? Well, hopefully you'll see how it all connects by the end. But in the meantime, let me remind you that this Genesis text is from the first of two very different creation stories. And most scholars agree that the Genesis 1 story was written long after the Genesis 2 account. That's the one with Adam and Eve. So file this away in your portfolio of basic Bible knowledge. The Adam and Eve story, or the Eden saga, is floating around the Middle East long before the authors of Genesis 1 come along during the exile in Babylon and put their particular spin on creation. The language is different. The style is different. The order of events are different. And the politics are different. One of the main elements that is fun to point out to biblical inerrantists and fundamentalists is that in Genesis 1, unlike Genesis 2, where Adam is created first and Eve second, male and female are created co-equal and at the same time. But for our purposes today, the important thing to listen for is how all of us are made in God's image. And don't get all literal on me trying to figure out, how can God be both male and female? Nor should you get hung up on how God refers to God's self in this passage in the plural. Those are both different sermons. Just note that the reason that we are said to be created in the image of the divine, that we have a crystal clear mandate of responsibility. We humans are created to be good stewards of God's world, co-creators, co-responsible, co-householders with God. So let's be reminded of how Genesis 1 imagines the making of humanity.
The words of wisdom are from Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. Then God said,
Let us make humanity in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth.
So God created humanity in God's image. In the image of God, God created them. Male and female, God created them.
Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks be to God.
Once upon a time, a woman noticed her husband standing on the bathroom scale, sucking in his stomach. Ha! She said, "That's not gonna help." "Sure it does," he said. "It's the only way I can see the numbers." Well, we're going to have to suck it up ourselves a little bit today so we can maybe see some of the things that we haven't given much thought to before. First off, in Greek, the very first words of the Lord's Prayer are literally, Father of us. Great. This is one of the gotcha passages that often gets hurled at me from Christians who want to shore up their sagging arguments trying to prove that God is literally male. See? Even Jesus thinks God is male. Okay already. All I'm asking is, wouldn't a non-human-like name have been better? Spirit, Creator, or maybe just God? And why not Mother? Are you seriously going to argue that the indescribable, mysterious divinity beyond our ability to comprehend really has a literal gender one way or another? Dom Crossan asks, How can the greatest prayer open with a male-oriented title and a patriarchal mode of address? Why give God a human-like and male-only name? Because metaphor, or metaphor, as Dom says. Can we just agree that none of us can ever imagine or describe the divine in any way except through metaphor? And can we also be grateful that Jesus did not use any number of other available male-oriented names of God? Warrior King, righteous judge, feudal lord. And I'm pretty sure that's on purpose. What we have in the text is Father. So if we can agree that the only way Jesus could have addressed the divine is through metaphor, why did he use this metaphor? Remember, the dominant understandings of God in Hebrew scripture are cosmic ruler, implying power and omnipotence, and moral judge, implying purity and cleanliness. But theologian John Cobb says there's another theme that runs through the whole of the Bible and is especially emphasized by Jesus. Cobb says, for Jesus, God is neither cosmic ruler nor moral judge. God is love. So, we shouldn't be surprised when Jesus rolls out an image of that love as that expressed by an infant's father. And that the Aramaic word Abba is not the formal word for father, but the more intimate term of endearment, daddy. Cobb suggests that here we have a very important difference between Jesus and the Hebrew scriptures of his time. An intentional shift from monarchical language about God to family relations. Control and judgment fade into the background, and in its place we have the ideal expression of what father means: tenderness and unconditional acceptance. Of course, for some, even the mention of father conjures up deep-seated emotions born of abuse and neglect, and that's real pain. But Jesus was being poetic. He wasn't declaring that God is literally a male parent with all the baggage that entails, but was shifting people's understanding of the divine from that of a remote Middle Eastern potentate to the profound closeness of a parent-child relationship. Jews were brought up to revere God as creator of the universe, Almighty Lord, a judge enthroned in heaven, hidden within a cloud or a burning bush, or shrouded by a curtain. To see God's face was to risk death. To utter God's name was blasphemy. To appease God required sacrifice. So, throughout all of Hebrew scripture, written over a 1,000-year period, the name Father was used for God only 7 times. And in the midst of such fearsome and authoritarian images of God, Jesus makes a radical choice. Using Abba is a direct challenge to the image of the divine as an impersonal, unapproachable, angry, emotionally distant force. In teaching his followers to address the divine as our Father, an expression of intimacy he uses for God over 150 times in the Gospels, he was opening up a new and vital way for people to understand and relate to the divine. But also notice what this prayer does to our understanding of ourselves. It says, our Father, not my Father. In fact, the whole prayer is plural pronouns. our Father, give us our, forgive us our. This is public language, not private. This is communal. We're not alone when we pray this prayer. And if God is our Father, then we are all children of God, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. So in just 2 words, Jesus not only redefines the nature of the divine, but reminds us that we are all in this together. Now, our last 2 words, in heaven, are perpetually problematic. Again, those of a more literal bent want to use this to picture the divine in some vast extraterrestrial empire above the clouds. The Greek word, however, that is used here, uranos, is more often than not interpreted as of the sky, but also implies the universe, the world, all things. If you remember memorizing John 3:16, for God so loved the world, well, the Greek word translated as world is cosmos, the whole kit and caboodle, the universe, all of creation. So when we say in heaven, it's not a geographical reference up there, but a reference to the breadth of what the divine is Father of. It's a metaphorical way of saying the God of all things. Finally, let's go back to our introductory message of this series and tie it into our Genesis passage from today. If you remember from a couple weeks ago, Crossan suggested that the biblical tradition, and maybe the whole human race, knows what a well-run home is like. We know how to recognize a good householder. Is everything running smoothly? Fairly? Does everyone have enough? Our Genesis passage today says clearly that we are made in the image of God, not physically, because both male and female are made in God's image, but by virtue of our function. And clearly, God's function is that of householder of creation. So we humans are created to likewise be good stewards of that world. Yes, God says we have dominion, but this idea is more akin to a responsibility to care for creation than permission to exploit creation. We are, as human beings, co-responsible with the divine householder for the household of the world. So Crossan suggests that for Jesus, to call God our Father in heaven is to call God the householder of earth, the one who has set before us a vision of a well-run household where everyone is treated fairly and everyone has enough. Late one evening, Mullah Nasruddin was walking along a deserted road, and in the distance he saw a troop of horsemen rapidly approaching. His imagination went into overtime, and not in a good way. He envisioned himself being captured and beaten, robbed and killed, and frightened by what he had convinced himself was the inevitable, he bolted over a nearby rock wall and found himself in a graveyard. With the horsemen closing in, he looked around and, desperate, jumped into a freshly dug grave. There he laid down and cowered, as still as he could be. Puzzled at this behavior, the horsemen, who in fact were honest travelers, stopped, tied up their horses, and followed Nasruddin's path over the wall. Coming upon the grave, they found him stretched out and shaking with fright. One of the riders said, we saw you run away. Do you need help? Why are you here? Nasruddin, now embarrassed by his obvious overreaction, said, well, it's kind of all the way you look at it. I mean, I'm here because of you, and you're here because of me. In the end, isn't that true of all of us? I mean, I'm reminded of the great South African concept of Ubuntu. I am because we are. right? I cannot be fully human. I cannot be who I am meant to be outside my relationship with you. And yet, how easy it was for Nasruddin to let his fear of the other foul his imagination and literally drive him to an early grave unnecessarily. How different a world we would live in if we turned our imaginations from generating all the possible negative outcomes of our interactions to generating all the possible positive outcomes. Look, hardly a day goes by without news of the growing influence on our country and in our town of Christian nationalist bullies, fomenting fear, stirring up hatred and mistrust, and threatening violence against those who don't believe exactly like they do. It's predominantly white, it privileges straight males, and in a profound curdling of imagination, continues to come up with every conceivable way to discredit non-Christian religions, demonize the poor as undeserving, and misrepresents immigrants and refugees as not just evil, but a clear and present danger to all that any upstanding American has ever held dear. In short, this warped worldview betrays Jesus in almost every way I can think of. Jesus showed us a clear and demanding vision, not of fear and threats and grievance, but of putting love first. Even loving our so-called enemies, loving those who hate, persecute, curse, or abuse us. And all of it grows out of an understanding of the divine as the householder who, in loving all of us, makes us sisters and brothers. In his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, Martin Luther King Jr. wrote an essay called The World House. In what turned out to be one of his last writings, he addressed the situation of his day in a way that still needs to be heard, maybe even more than in 1967. He wrote, "Some years ago, a famous novelist died. Among his papers was found a list of suggested plots for future stories, the most prominently underscored being this one. A widely separated family inherits a house in which they have to live together." This is the great problem we have as human beings. We have inherited a large house, a great world house, in which we have to live together. Black and white, Catholic and Protestant, conservative and liberal, Easterner and Westerner, Palestinian and Israeli, Muslim and Hindu. MLK said that we are a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interest, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace. He finishes his appeal to live in peace in our one world house with our stream of thought. Together, we must learn to live as brothers, or together we will be forced to perish as fools. Friends, part of the prescription for what ails us is found in just the first few words of the Lord's Prayer. If we can genuinely embrace the universality of the intimacy of the divine being like a healthy familiar relationship, and the inclusion of the whole world on our list of responsibilities, we may just find ourselves one step closer to contributing to a solution, rather than being part of the problem. Our Father in heaven, householder of the world, lover of all, however you want to put it, our challenge is to not give in to the fear, to not lash out against purveyors of violence with in-kind behavior, and to not condemn ourselves to cowering in an early grave. In just the first few words of the Lord's Prayer, we find the alternative to the fear, violence, and apathy threatening our every step. Take up the task of being co-householders of this world house, co-creators of previously unimagined possibilities, and together see Jesus' vision through. We are all brothers and sisters, called to care for one another, the world, and all of creation. Be well.
Abba, Jesus, God of this family, holy your name which your children now bear. May your compassion, justice, and liberty lead us to life, be the garments we wear, and give us this day the bread to survive. Hold us in love and keep us alive, so tomorrow with courage, when push comes to shove, we will bring forth the kingdom and sing of your love. Abba, Jesus, God of this family, dance with your children on through the night. Do not remember mistakes we made yesterday. Shine in our darkness and lead us to light. Please give us this day the bread to survive. Hold us in love and keep us alive, so tomorrow with courage, when push comes to shove, we will bring forth the kingdom and sing of your love. Yours is the kingdom, life-giving energy. You are the reason for all that we see. Yours is the glory, strength, and infinity. What came before us and ever will be. So give us this day the bread to survive. Hold us in love and keep us alive, so tomorrow with courage, when push comes to shove, we will bring forth the kingdom and sing of your love. Help us bring forth the kingdom, putting love first in the world.
Let us offer these words of challenge and blessing to one another as we go. Let us embrace the wonder of this week with expectation and imagination,
With faith to face our challenges.
with love that casts out fear.
With hope to trust tomorrow.
We accept this day as the gift it is.
A reason for rejoicing.
May we go in courage and grace.